Recording in progress.
Jump inside the sub
and buckle on in.
Open your mind.
Because it's time to dive into
2, 1.
The deep end.
The deep end.
Welcome to the deep end.
The deep end. The deep end, bro.
Yeah, brah, deep end.
It's deep, man.
Too deep, brah.
Welcome, guys, to episode 3.
What up? Welcome.
What?
This
Welcome,
isn't just
welcome.
our third time around. It's our third time around, the second time around.
This is our third time at our second rodeo.
Our second time at our third rodeo.
We've been to like rodeos, man. And a lot of them. We just lost count.
Today we are going to talk about some interesting things. I did a past life regression this week and regressed to a life where I was a nomadic Lyran warrior, where we traveled around Orion, liberating people from the reptilian control. And so since then, I've been kind of on a rabbit hole learning about the Orion and Lyran wars. So I'm going to talk a little bit about the past life regression and a little bit about the research I found about the wars.
I did 2 regressions. I kind of wish I only did one because the second one was a little foggy. My energy was low, but I had a regression where I was Native American and I don't know what you would call it, like where we all lived, there was just a storm and it caught fire and we lost everything, and it completely changed my belief systems. I thought the universe was one way, and I thought we angered God and like the spirits and all that. The whole point was this tragedy happened, made me really despondent about life because I thought spirituality was one way and it wasn't. And so it kind of altered my belief system and made me I don't know, it showed me the source of some of my spiritual limiting beliefs. The regression came at a time in my life now that I altered my belief systems a little bit and rocked my world. And so it kind of made me dive into the Hermetic Principles because I need to manifest. It just inspired me to dive deep into how energy truly works. And so the timing of this past life with the timing of the shit that's going on in my actual life, like it's all very synchronistic. And so I'm very passionate about sharing this knowledge, and I'm like knee deep in all kinds of just energy stuff and how the mind works, and it's really fascinating. So for pretty much this whole season, I'm going to be talking about it. But for the episode today, I feel like, yeah, my past life definitely segues also into what I'm bringing to the table for this episode today in that long-winded explanation. Jesus Christ. But it's okay. I'll edit all that shit down. They'll be like, what? You said 2 sentences.
So you're going to explain a different principle each episode so that we can introduce the listeners to the laws of way the energy works in the universe, right?
Yeah, exactly. Oh, yeah, because
it's time for a vibe check.
Vibe check. It's a vibe.
vibes all day.
I'm digging your vibe, baby.
We're each going to pull some oracle cards to read what is the vibe of the week.
Hell yeah, let's see what the current energetic vortex has for us today.
So I'm pulling from the Wandering Moon Tarot deck, and I pulled the Chariot. The Chariot as the vibe for the week is powerful card of momentum, determination, and willpower. It suggests that this week is about taking control, staying focused, and pushing forward despite obstacles. You might feel a strong drive to accomplish something, whether in your career, personal life, or spiritual journey. The key lesson here is discipline. Success comes from balancing opposing forces and staying aligned with your goals. The challenges arise. The Chariot encourages you to stay the course and not let distractions or doubts steer you off track.
Nice.
Sorry, because then they personalized it to me. They said, since you've been navigating career changes and stepping into your purpose, this card could be a sign that you're gaining traction in the right direction. Trust your inner power. Keep your eyes on where you want to go. Don't let fear or past setbacks hold you back. This is a week to move with confidence and intention. Because I've been doing a lot of career pulls and like trying to get a career that aligns with my purpose and that kind of thing, that I'll be happy.
I love
So,
that. I know it personalizes mine too. In fact, I think I had it interpret the last episode's one. I had to like skip over where it was like, and then blah blah blah, personal information. It was funny. I just put in mine. I was like, "Can you interpret a card from the Wild Unknown Animal Spirit deck? It's the vibe of this week's Deep End episode." And it's like, and then I just hit send, and it's like, "Absolutely. Which deck or which card would you like me to interpret?" I was like, "Oh yeah." It's like the unicorn. I drew from the Wild Unknown Animal Spirit deck, and I drew the unicorn. The
woohoo!
unicorn. I know, right? When I drew it, I was like, "Oh, she's gonna like this." This card represents intuition, higher wisdom, and the search for truth beyond the material world. This week, we are stepping beyond the ordinary into the realm of the unseen. The unicorn reminds us that magic is real, and not in the way that we're told as children, but the way that we feel when we trust our intuition, when synchronicities align, and when we see beyond the surface of reality. This is a time to ask bigger questions, to challenge what we think we know, and to embrace the unknown with wonder instead of fear. The third eye is awakening, nudging us to look deeper, not just at the world around us, but at ourselves. What is illusion? What is truth? What are we being called to remember? The unicorn doesn't seek answers in logic alone. It listens to the whispers of the soul. This week, let's do the same. Stay open to signs, lean into curiosity, and let the magic of possibility lead the way. That's fucking sick.
Yeah, it is. And it hella aligns with everything going on, at least for me right now.
Well, for me too, dude. And it's like what I'm fucking trying to talk about
Mm-hmm.
today. Like, oh my
Yeah.
God, I love it. This is cool. Thank you. Thanks, GPT.
A few days ago, I did my own past life regression where Stephanie regressed me. And I regressed to a life where I came in to a very clear, what comes through the strongest for me is sounds. So I heard crowds cheering and I heard people like stomping and pounding when I very first came in. That was the first thing. And then I felt like I was underground, but I could see out the opening into a big, like, gladiator style arena. And as she continued to ask me questions about what I looked like, we figured out that I was a very tall, very slender, feline, Lyran warrior who was not a warrior anymore, but I didn't know that at the time. That unfolded through in the story. So in the opening scene, I just knew that I was a cat wearing like armor, very tall, very slender. And I had leopard dots that was very clear in my mind, and that I was just really afraid. And I didn't really know why I was there. I just perceived other people. And then through the regression, we figured out that I was actually a soldier and I was trained to be a nomadic warrior to go around to different planets, and we would fight and liberate planets that were under control of the Draco reptilians and various oppressed species that were under slavery or whatever they may be. The Dracos had been, by this point, traveling around for millions of years and had conquered tons and tons of species that were less technologically advanced because they were far more advanced than everyone else. So, in my important days, there was an issue. I believe we used portals through stars or something, and our ship got damaged by uh, going through a star portal or being hit by something from the star when we were going through the portal.
Hang
And we
on.
had,
Wait, that backs up a theory that we've talked about portals being in like suns and stuff. So
sorry,
that
yeah,
that completely confirms that.
yeah, it was, I just, in the visual, we were going and there was like just a massive light that somehow came up to the left side of our ship and damaged it in some way. That's all like I really perceived, but I knew that that kind of made us so that we were grounded at a nearby planet for a while and we had to repair our ship. somewhere
Mhm.
along the way, I believe I continued to fight because the next day I was fighting, but and the next important day that we went to, but I eventually ended up getting injured, and I believe I was left on like a barren type planet that was very desert-like, and I think my body couldn't handle interstellar travel anymore because you have to be able to transfer your body into different forms and to be able to go at those kind of speeds and things like that, which the Lyrans were able to do. But with the injury, I think I wasn't able to handle interstellar travel. I think I would have died if they would have tried to take me anywhere else. But the nomadic cultures, there was no tie to a home anyway. So where they left me was as good as any other planet. And I did have visuals that came through later of one or two people coming back and checking on me at some point. And I just was so beyond recovery that I just wasn't a soldier anymore. I basically ended up getting caught up. The planet I was left on had not very friendly ruler and had a military type police force that kind of bullied the locals and things like that. And I normally stayed out of civilization, but that particular day I happened to be in town and intervened to help a woman when she was being bullied by the police and ended up getting myself arrested. And the punishment was to be put into the gladiator arena. And that wasn't unheard of. They would just make up any reason just because they wanted to throw people in there anyway. So um, all you had to do was look at them the wrong way. And it didn't matter if you won or lost, they killed everyone anyway. So my life ended in the arena. But it was very interesting. And I didn't really know much about the Lyran and Orion wars before this. In fact, I had never even had an inkling that I had been Lyran. I have a connection to some other alien groups like the Pleiadians and Sirius and things like that, and even the Greys, but never really quite realized I had a connection. But now that I have seen this story, there's a lot of things that make a lot of sense, that just a lot of things have clicked. And then since then, as we know, the more times we listen to our past life regressions, especially if you're in like a meditative state, more visuals and more information comes through. And we've also discovered that if you do tarot pulls, then we can have even a deeper meaning to these. So I've spent a few days processing everything from it and getting far deeper meanings of it. And it's just been an amazing journey to learn about this story and how it impacts my life now. And so because of that, since then I've been on this crazy rabbit hole of trying to learn about the Lyran Orion Wars, which has been pretty fun.
I know you keep sending me all this stuff. I need to watch that one you told me about the Maldek stuff. I need to watch that.
Yeah.
I've just
And
been knee deep in these fucking videos I've been watching.
yeah. And that's how it is like with me too. Like you'll send me videos and I like really want to watch them, but I'm like sucked into something else. And I like hyperfixate on certain things and I'm like, oh yeah, I'm gonna go back and watch that later. And then whenever I actually do go back, I can't find it. That's why I was like, send me that video again.
I know the links get lost in conversation. I know there's times
Yeah.
I do that too. I'm like, can you just send it to me again? I do not feel like scrolling up.
Well, no, I've been having problems with my internet because I went in, usually I can go into our previous links, like in Messenger, you can see just our links and pictures that we
Hmm.
send each other. And for some reason, the only last 5 links were showing. And I was like, damn it, it's further back than that. So that's why I had to ask you because nothing was loading for some reason. I think I need to get a new phone, but.
Oh yeah.
But the one of the reasons I keep sending you the links about this stuff is because I didn't realize how deeply it pertains. I mean, I guess it is the history of our universe. They start from the very beginning. The very first episode in the series that I'm watching is all about prior to any kind of third density physical beings. It starts way back whenever everything was like just energy before like they started creating 3D matrices and making physical beings that fit inside of them. And so it's pretty interesting. It's hard to tell with this, watch these series that are about universal history, and it's like, how do we know for sure what the truth is other than people channeling it or connecting with past lives there? I believe that's like the way you could get the clearest information, because any kind of written records have been edited and removed and things have been modified for manipulation purposes. But
I was just gonna say edited through Christian eyes.
oh God, the Bible's the worst. But I love like studying like the Mahabharata and the really old ancient texts. I feel like those are like way less edited, which I could be wrong. There might have been evil people editing those back then too, but it seems like there's a lot of consistencies from different groups that say the same things, and that's to me like more evidence if it shows different groups around the world saying the same thing. I feel like those are more accurate, and those do tell the similar stories of what this series is saying about the universal history. And so the reason that it's been so interesting to me, what really got my attention was because of the past life that we had where we were both on Maldek. And I've been really interested in Atlantis. And I know that Maldek and Atlantis are connected through not only karma, but genetics and things like that. So,
You still need to go into your Maldek life.
yeah, I do. Yeah, and knowing what I know now, I'm very curious to how that will play out. But so the series basically starts at the beginning, and the energy beings found a planet near the Orion area of the universe that had like it was really jungle like, and they felt like it was a good place to impose a 3D matrix and start genetically engineering beings to go into this 3D matrix that can have incarnations and things like that. In order to interact with these beings on this planet, they engineered bodies that they could put their consciousness into and take 3D incarnations so that they can go into this matrix and interact with it physically and not just interact with it energetically. So the physical beings that they developed, they used their favorite creatures from the planet, which were the avians or the birds, and developed humanoid bodies for them to go onto this planet. So they are called the Carians, and they're humanoid avian birds. And so they have like bird heads, but they have like bipedal, they walk on 2 feet, humanoid type shape. These were the very first humanoids race, period. It's the very first master humanoid race was bird heads, humanoid bodies. And the seeds from that planet are the seeds that seeded every humanoid race and every planet in the whole entire universe. And the reason that they don't all have bird heads anymore is because of evolution and natural selection and cross genetics and things like that. So these carrion humanoid birds became really fascinated with a swamp dwelling reptile and decided to start genetically engineering it into another humanoid. And over millions of years, they did evolve it into a humanoid reptilian, and they felt like they accomplished what they were trying to do and they were happy with it, and they kind of left it on the planet, left a whole bunch of engineered eggs on this planet, and ascended back into the higher consciousness and didn't stay in the 3D density of that planet anymore. These eggs were left on this planet, and the energy of, have you heard of Ahriman?
Uh-uh.
So apparently that's another name for the energy of Lucifer that we know of. But he's called Ahriman in ancient texts, other than, so I prefer to say that because I don't know, I don't like the like connotation of Lucifer. So, but that's an energy that broke away from the parental consciousness and started to explore the universe basically, and went around exploring all the different planets and things that there were, and came across the planet with the eggs and was fascinated by them. So he took them back to the Alpha Dracona system to seed them on his own planet and basically raise them. And this is the origins of the Chiaka, the master reptilian Draco race, that they were initially raised by Lucifer or Ahriman. He imposed a 3D
Interesting.
yeah. So he
Wow.
imposed the 3D matrix on the reptilians and kept them on his planet where he was their master, their mentor, and they pretty much adopted his lifestyle approach of self-preservation, domination over the universe and others, and really just lacking love, no unity consciousness. It's all about self-preservation and control, basically. This master race was about 14 to 18 feet tall. They were muscular, strong, and agile. They were scaly, and they were colorful. They ranged from dark green to black to red to blue, all different colors. And because they had the help of Ahriman, they had mastered interstellar travel and technological advancements and weaponry like really, really fast, and way faster than the other humanoids that were being developed by the original energies that were the bird people, the Carians. So when they left and they went back up to higher consciousness, they actually went to a different planet and started developing another humanoid race. And they settled on a gas planet in the Vega system to start a new 3D matrix, experimenting with new life forms like they did on the other planet, right? And so by the time these new humanoids developed to the point where they could interstellar travel, the reptilians had already been interstellar traveling and dominating planets and people for like 3 million years. So they were like way advanced, way faster than whatever came behind them. So that's one of the reasons why they were so out of control.
Yeah, that's
um,
crazy.
yeah. So one of the reasons that Yahweh and the Patal developed this second planet with the second 3D matrix is because they were intending to heal the mother consciousness of the 7D and the higher dimensions. So they would basically create these little 3D planets so that they could heal this mother wounds or mother consciousness so that they can raise a younger species. One of the ways they would help these species is they would actually, again, take incarnations and interact with the people like they did previously in the carry-ons with the birds. They would do that again with this new planet. On this planet, over time, through a ton of, I mean, it was basically like a planetary or like an interplanetary laboratory of species. So over time, they were able to develop a 12-strand DNA body that makes it so that a higher frequency consciousness can be tapped into from the 3D body, so that the higher consciousness beings can be in the 3D body and still be connected to who they are on the 5D level. So in this laboratory, the very first species that they developed was the cats, the lion tiger types. And so that was their most advanced species as they continued to develop more and more species, but that was their favorite. So they decided to use them in the next humanoid development, and they created a master Lyran race by using cat-like bodies that are intermixed with humanoid bodies. And they actually had 52 chromosomes and 12-strand DNA. Their bodies could transition from 3D to 5D at will. They were like 12 to 16 feet tall. They were really slim and athletic, which whenever I was in the Lyran body, that's exactly how it felt too. It felt really slender and really like agile and athletic, even though I was at that point not even a warrior anymore in the opening scene. I could just feel that. I don't know how to explain it. Unlike the other humanoid species that had been developed at that point, they had really bright and colorful eyes. And prior to that, it had been the birds and the reptilians who all had like black, beady eyes. The Lyrans were really like striking, and their skin ranged from light to dark. They had hair that ranged from blue to orange. They were just really like colorful and beautiful. And like we think of lions and tigers now, the males had a lot more hair, like mane type hair, and the females were more short hair. So kind of like how we still are. So yeah, so the higher consciousness beings that were the ones that were developing these creatures really enjoyed taking bodies and taking incarnations on this planet, and they would do that so that they could like teach and guide them, but they would enjoy it so much that they would live for thousands and thousands of years and become like spiritual leaders. They just really enjoyed the peace and the beauty. And they actually called this planet Eden. So that's pretty interesting. That's as far back as the Eden goes. And so these spiritual leaders, after they had thousands and thousands of years of incarnation life in the third density, these were the people that evolved into what we know as the ascended masters or the Christ consciousness beings. You know, we hear of those, like there's books, Dolores Cannon talks about them. So yeah, this is how far back they go, is all the way back from this planet. So these ones can transition from flesh to light bodies to plasma bodies at will. And then the Lyrans, because they were spiritually ascended, I guess you could say, they had abilities. They could manipulate nature and shape it to their surroundings. They were really, really in touch with nature and lived like an agricultural lifestyle. They developed like living architecture and biofarms, and just really had a lot of massive gardens and stuff like that.
Wow.
They had two different kinds of societies. They had the nomadic, like soldier societies, or just the nomadic style societies. Then they had like their city type, technologically advanced groups. Those were the ones that practiced the monarchies. But the Lyrans flourished for millions of years, pretty much in peace, and built up the empire, stretching from Vega to Hercules, Draco, Vulpecula, and Cygnus. And the Avion was what Eden was. That was located in Vega. That's where that originated. Picture it like how Earth is. It's really lush, lots of water, mountains, lakes, streams. And at this point, the Dracos, again, had been conquering civilizations all over the universe for 3 million years at this point. And they happened to stumble upon Avion. And they basically land and establish technology, like these advanced technological camps, as soon as they land. This story they are telling talks about how, which I'm not sure how they would know these conversations unless maybe somebody channeled this in a regression or something. But they basically said that the Lyrans were both interested and nervous. They didn't quite know who the reptilians were, so they didn't know to be afraid of them. And they counseled amongst themselves. And one of their main leaders said basically that they we should not meet them with fear, and that fear and misunderstanding breeds hate and conflict, and we are all children of the same creator spirit, and we should welcome them and share our land and our resources and our knowledge with them. And it says that, parts of their council, disagreed and warned that they needed to protect themselves, but they didn't. They welcomed them in, and they shared resources and shared a peaceful, symbiotic relationship for a short time, basically. Until one day, one of the reptilian generals took a group over to a Lyran temple and massacred all the priests in the temple. And it basically shattered the peace. Right after that, the Draco reptilian army invaded and basically took over, wiped out entire populations, just mass genocide of the entire planet. And the ones they didn't kill, they took as slaves. So reptilians get like a really perverse pleasure, not only from killing species and eating them, but they get like a euphoric, like an intense euphoria induced if they eat something that is experiencing the emotion of terror when they eat it. So not only do they feast on the flesh of their victims, but they get way more euphoria from the loosh, the psychic energy of the emotional vibrations of their victim.
Well, yeah, that's like I've gone down rabbit holes. That's the whole concept behind adrenochrome.
Uh-huh. Yeah. So, and so it basically would make them torture their victims even worse and worse, trying to get them, because the more torture their victims could endure before they consumed them, the more high they would get whenever they consumed them. This massacre introduced the concepts of murder and torture and war and polarized duality into the humanoid consciousness, and instilled fear into the humanoid DNA. Before that wasn't there. So that is what they're saying is where the original serpent in the garden narrative comes from. Was from the Draco reptilians landing and claiming to have a knowledge interchange and coming in peace, and then coming in and massacring and destroying everyone. So unfortunately, after that, even the peaceful reptilian races were subjugated to like the prejudice, and all the other planets like hated them just because they're reptilian after that, because they didn't know what to think. They took over all the planets that were around this Avion. So they took over a lot of the planets in the Sirius area as well. There was 7 insurgent reptilians, leaders, that facilitated an escape of some really high-level Lyran leaders to Sirius R and Sirius B. And then other refugees evacuated and became nomadic, like a nomadic convoy in space. And because they were space bound, they were able to break away from the 3D matrix. So they transitioned to 5D. And there they were able to initiate the healing from the massacres and everything, and ascend even higher to higher densities so that the reptilians can't reach them anymore. So this was the group that developed the Galactic Federation that we know of right now. The Galactic Federation is overseeing what's going on with the Draco reptilians on Earth, and that's a whole other thing. But the Galactic Federation got involved on Earth. Originally, the Chiakaw reptilians were on Earth for a long time, and they were ruling Earth during the dinosaur ages. And at a certain point, Earth was getting too oxygenated, and they orchestrated the the comets to hit Earth to make it more CO2 again and less oxygen to continue the dinosaur reign. And they did that twice. After the second orchestrated, what is the word I'm looking for? What's that big fucking rock that hits the Earth?
An asteroid?
Yeah. After the second orchestrated asteroid hit, then that's when the Galactic Federation stepped in and intervened and said that they couldn't do that on this planet anymore. And the second time, the reason they stepped in is because there were humanoids that were developing on the planet already at that point that were seeded by other species. So I'll talk about it in future episodes, but at a certain point, Earth became a seed bank for many, many, many different species. There's certain planets around the universe that are seed banks. So many species can come here and bring plants and bring animals and basically store their animals and their seeds here in like a diverse planet under protection in case, they ever need to access those things again, is the way they were explaining it. But the Draco reptilians were orchestrating these asteroids to hit and wiping out the life that was starting to flourish because they wanted to keep control of the planet. So, yeah. Oh, and then one of the last things that they had said in that first episode was that a lot of these souls that had the murder, torture, awful things happen from the reptilians on Avion ended up taking incarnations. Once they were able to ascend higher, they started taking incarnations as Arcturians, Andromedans, and Pleiadians so that they can continue to ascend higher and higher and completely out of reach of the Draco reptilians.
Wow.
So after this huge war, way further in the future, the way that they tried to create peace was they got a reptilian humanoid queen, and they proposed to interbreed her with a Lyran male from the Federation. And they did. And so I'll talk a lot more about that in depth on the next episode. But essentially, they interbred and they created a new race, which ended up being the Anunnaki. And they are the reason that the Anunnaki came here. And Earth was originally a gift, quote unquote, to the reptilian queen. So yeah.
All right.
Next time. And so the next episode I will study more of, because right after this is once they have the arranged marriage and try to unite the universe between the reptilians and the Lyrans. They do have peace for several million years, but eventually war breaks out again, and they end up sending species over here. There's like refugees that escape and come and colonize, I think, Maldek and Mars. So
Interesting.
yeah. And it's really interesting because they claim that the reptilians were the ones that controlled Maldek, and that they were the ones who were very greedy, and they were the ones who were bullying Mars, and that they deployed weapons to destroy Mars's atmosphere, and that Maldek was actually destroyed by something other than what we had originally thought. But I'm going to research that further, and I'll come back with that mind-blowing story next time.
Awesome. I'll just start with the past life I went into. I actually went into two past lives that had similar themes. One of them, I was a Native American. I kind of had a crisis of faith. And because I thought I was doing everything right, paying my respects and being spiritual and meditating and being one with nature, all that fun stuff. And then we lost everything, and I thought it was because we angered the gods. And then all of a sudden, I can't hunt anymore. I wasn't as good as I once was. And so I thought, what have I done? Why am I being punished? It kind of set my life on that course. Then the other life, I lived
Either.
on this island and I built a lot of stuff on the island, and a hurricane came through and just destroyed everything. And it kind of made me fear the power of nature as well as, what's the point? Your shit's just gonna get rocked anyway. So like, why try? Around the time that I was doing these regressions in my personal life, my whole life got turned upside down and everything kind of was really murky there for a little while. I had that same attitude, like, what have I done? I thought I was doing everything right, like why did all this shit come out of the sky without a warning? Like, what the fuck? After going through those past lives, I decided the universe doesn't work like that. Energy doesn't work that way. And so I was like, okay, well then how does it work? In my suggested stuff on YouTube, I saw the 7 Hermetic Principles. And so I clicked on it. And this was before I went into these past lives. I kind of dipped my toes in it. I think I started with the law of vibration, which was like right in the middle, but it really resonated. So I kept watching all the other ones and it just fascinated me. So after these regressions, I decided to really dive into all these concepts. And I'm going to start teaching them on here, but I'm going to start with the first principle of mentalism. According to the Kabbalion, reality is not physical, nor is it made of tangible matter as we might imagine. It's a mental construct from the universal mind, which means everything is part of a vast mental projection. So everything around you once began in the mind. So all matter is derivative of consciousness. It all begins in the mind. And one way they talked about this double slit experiment that was conducted by physicist Thomas Young. What they did was they took a particle like an electron and they fired it at a barrier with two slits. And on the other side of this barrier, there is a screen that records the impact pattern of the particles. So when scientists try to predict the behavior of this particle, something unexpected happened. If no one observes the electron, it behaves like a wave and it just passes through both slits simultaneously, creating an interference pattern like ripples in a water. When they begin observing it, which slit the particle goes through, the electron decides to behave like a particle. It chooses only one of the slits, eliminating the interference pattern and creating a pattern that indicates a defined trajectory. This phenomenon reveals that at a quantum level, the act of observing modifies reality. So the observer seems to interfere with the nature of the particle, forcing it to choose a specific state. So this opens the door to deeper interpretation of the mind and reality. It confirms that observation of consciousness focused on a point possesses the power to determine the state of things. So that means reality is malleable, subjective, and susceptible to the conscious mind that observes, interacts, and creates. This is a concept that helped me out beginning this whole thing because everything begins in the mind. Your thoughts contain energy and power to them. You got to think of it as the mind being this vast ocean where every thought, every observation is acting as a stone that's tossed onto the surface, creating ripples and affects everything around it. In meditation, I started small and I thought about that because they teach you you have to control your mind and control your thoughts and observe your thoughts. Observe what your mind thinks about, where your mind goes. Every thought that I had in meditation, I would imagine myself throwing a rock into still water. And that slowly started to get me used to observing my thoughts. And then there was another video I saw where they were talking about imagine that you're sitting on the side of a riverbank and there's this vast river flowing by you. And that river is your thoughts. And you are the observer sitting on the side. So you are not your thoughts. Your brain is this powerful supercomputer. And so its job is to run and to do all these things. And you, your consciousness, are separate from that. You are not your brain or your thoughts. That's completely different. And so sometimes when I think about something that I don't want to, I'll just throw it into the river and be like, yep, go down the river, and that helps teach me. One, it eliminates looping thoughts, which is weird. It completely works, but also I'm more conscious of
That's
what
a
I
good
think.
visual. Yeah.
Yeah, I'm more conscious of what I think about. It's crazy. It completely clicked with me in that way. Because they also said to imagine that your thoughts like are a movie, like you're in a movie theater. But I can't do that because I already have a symbolism to a movie theater. And so I'm like, I don't want to fuck with that because that we use for, the regressions and all that.
Yeah, the
But
one
they
I
were,
use is the conduit under the road because I'm from the mountains and there's all these like conduits that go under the road and empty into the river for runoff. And they'll
mm-hmm.
just like gush and gush some parts of the year. So I like to imagine that I'm just like an empty metal conduit and all the water is just flushing through.
Mm-hmm. Yeah, exactly. That is a great way because it helps you to train your mind because your
Hmm.
mind is like a sharp blade, and the more you focus the mind, the more powerful it can be. Granted, the more you get distracted, it weakens your ability. And this is on purpose because of our power to create our own reality. When they can control where your attention goes, it becomes a form of power. Like the world around you is cleverly designed to keep you distracted.
Hmm.
And so like with social media, constant notifications, advertising, all that stuff, it weakens your mind and the ability to create. This fragmenting of the mind distances us from our creative essence and transforms us into reactors to our environment rather than creators. Because attention is a tool for creation and stillness is a source of power. So, the key to regaining control of your reality is gaining control of your mind. Meditation is the most powerful tool. The mind is a matrix from which all things are created, and a scattered mind loses the ability to focus and intend. I mean, you still can, but it's not as strong as if you had a sharp, focused mind. To meditate is to gather attention and direct it like a lens focusing light to a single point that ignites into a fire. Your brain and your subconscious can't distinguish between real and imagined experiences. When you vividly picture something in your mind, your brain creates the same neural patterns as if you were actually doing it. That's why athletes use this principle to improve their performance. Their bodies respond as if they are physically practicing. And I actually did this earlier, like last summer, when I was trying to get myself to push my body through working out. So I started meditating first and imagining getting through the workout and completely doing everything. And I did, and I'm able to do it now. And wouldn't you know it now? I'm like finally seeing the results that I've been wanting to see for the last 10 years. So who knows if it's me creating my reality? I mean, well, it is. Everything begins in the mind, right? That is in action right now, And
Nice.
so I've been testing this also in my life lately, which is how I stumbled upon it because I was stuck in a scarcity mindset for a while, but I started actively shifting my thoughts to abundance and trusting that everything would work out, and it did. I started seeing shifts literally the following week. I don't know. I don't want to get too much into my personal life. Some of my money got held up, and including child support. Like the state of California just decided they're just going to hold everybody's fucking child support until who knows when. That created mass panic in my household because I'm reliant upon these payments, and the one of them didn't come through because of a form that should have been filled out, and this fiasco. And so I, had a crisis weekend, and then after that, I shifted my mindset, and I don't know if it's just the luck of the draw or whatever, but money started coming in, and then not like yesterday, another child support payment came in, and I'm like, wasn't even expecting it, and I just checked my account. I'm like, okay, there's money there.
Hell yeah.
So, yeah, it was great. So it's like little by little, it builds upon the reality that you're creating. Like, yeah, maybe the state was already planning on giving us the money anyway, but I would like to think but that also segues into something else too, because you like there's always going to be challenges in life. Like just because bad shit happens doesn't mean it's your fault, okay? Because that was my biggest trap that I happened in those past lives, and even in this one. When bad shit happens, I'm always racking my brain. What did I do to somebody? What did I not do here? What am I missing here? Like, why am I being punished? This and that, and it's not necessarily the case. Bad shit's still going to happen to you. It's up to you on how you react to it. And so in this instance, it lit a fire under my ass to truly propel me into what is it that you want? What is your purpose? Like, what do you want to do with your days? So I started by applying to all these fucking remote job listings for anything and everything. And my tarot cards, I pulled the Seven of Cups, and which is so many choices. It's like you need to narrow your focus down. And so I started like, all right, whatever. So then I typed in audio, completely expecting not to find anything. And I shit you not, I sifted through 10 pages of audio editing and just shit that I'm qualified for, you know?
Nice.
And so that changed the game up, you know, and then it narrowed my focus. And so the whole point was just to zero. I don't know. I just had a thought. Okay, I don't know if it's cyclical or not, but what made me go to the Art Institute was a similar crisis. It was just like I failed out of this college. I needed to get stuff going so my GI Bill wouldn't lapse. And it was in January of that year. Yeah, I started, it was like the middle of January. I signed up, and then by the end, I was in school, ready to go, blah, blah, blah. The rest is history. That was a very pivotal decision in my life, was doing
Interesting.
that school. Yeah.
So next time your whole
Literally
entire
just
life
hit me.
falls out of underneath your feet, just go, oh, something awesome's gonna happen.
Well, that's always the case, because that's the thing is the universe, if you're not aligned with your path, the universe is going to align you. And so how hard the adjustment is depends on how much you resist it or how far off out of alignment you are. And
And
so
isn't that like in the stars right now too, about like foundations breaking to build
mhm.
more aligned paths for
Oh yeah.
people?
Oh yeah. A lot of people are going through it right now for sure.
Yeah, I
Oh
am for
yeah.
sure too.
Oh yeah.
And with the whole mentality thing, I've been uh, arguably like I don't know, a couple times I've been having so much faith in the universe that something is going to happen and I am supported and I'm also struggling. But I just been having like this blind, like, you can't tell me that something good isn't going to happen faith. And I just keep like pushing through and burying my head in creation energy. And I have, over the last couple of days, I've gotten booked a double flying dress photo shoot. I've gotten two inquiries for me to do wedding packages for wedding video and photos. So like, hell yeah, dude, that shit, you just have to believe it, and it shit will fucking create, but you just have to like not doubt it.
Yeah,
Whatever you
like
believe, you're going to be supported unconditionally. And if you believe that you suck and you never have anything good happen to you, then the universe is going to support you in that.
mhm. Definitely. So I'm gonna give you guys some practical applications, because what she's talking about is fucking gold. And it's like, how do we build on that? Because it's true. Your thoughts create your reality, how you feel, but also how you feel, because feelings and emotions actually magnify each.
And be honest about them too, because you can say all day long, "Oh, I believe something's going to happen," but then deep down you're like, "Oh, but why do I always struggle? Why does nothing ever go my
Hmm.
way?" You know?
And that's the scarcity mindset that I was stuck in,
Yeah.
because I'm trying to manifest abundance, but it's like I have this lingering fear in my heart chakra. With the Marie Antoinette life, remember, I lost everything. And before I discovered that fear that was always around was just the lingering fear of something that happened to me in the past and not what was happening in the future. Because when I would try to be grateful for my home, I had this lingering fear. So
Yeah,
let's do,
that's 3 lives where you lost everything in a
hmm
row.
And two of them were by fire. which is kind of interesting to me. And then I had that dream with the firefighters. Okay, so I'm stumbling on these concepts, and the stuff I'm about to talk about, I applied that night because I watched this video and I wrote it down, and then I applied it and I did it. And then I had this crazy vivid dream that night. And it was about I was like flirting with these firemen. I asked ChatGPT, I plugged in all the symbolism, and it was like I got a wink from the universe that you got it. We're doing it. This is finally happening. You're on your path, and la la la. How to embark on this journey of discovering how your mind works and all that fun stuff is through mindfulness and meditation. Also, you have to understand too that once you decide that all this stuff is for you, it's not instantaneous, nor is this easy. It takes diligence, discipline, and patience because you're
Yeah.
rewiring your brain. Like you're not going to get it overnight. Like I still struggle. But like last night, I asked ChatGPT, okay, I overspent a little bit and I'm like, felt guilty about it. And I asked ChatGPT, okay, how am I supposed to stay in this abundance mindset when I have these lingering whatevers because I overspent? First, recognize the shifting from scarcity to abundance isn't about never spending money. It's about how you feel about spending and how your overall relationship with money. Instead of guilt and regret, reframe this as a learning moment. You need to acknowledge and accept, but also reframe the experience. So you have to retrain your brain. Money flows to me easily and I make wise decisions. It was a part of the flow of abundance and it will come back to me multiplied. Or what did you spend the money on? Did it bring you joy, nourishment, or support? Even if it wasn't ideal, express gratitude. I'm grateful for the ability to spend, and I'm learning how to use my resources wisely. So, and it going on through more and more, like, because it was a longer message that I got, but it was like reframing your mind. So it's like with the help of AI and these YouTube videos, I'm completely retraining my brain. And it's not easy, but it's helping and I'm making progress every day. It's fucking awesome.
That's
Anyway,
awesome.
another way is to cultivate inner stillness amidst external chaos. So and you could do that through meditation, and finding ways. Like for me, if I have looping thoughts that I don't like, then I'll send them down the river. And that's been what helps for me. You also need to be fully present in each moment. Like stop doom scrolling or like my thing, I used to sit and scroll while I ate or like watched a YouTube video, but now sometimes I'll just sit and eat and enjoy my meal and taste the flavors and like think about the flavors and like listen to who's around me. Like
That's also a trick they say about to not overeat too,
Mhm.
because if you're distracting yourself while you eat, then you'll consume more and won't appreciate the flavor. It'll be gone. You won't realize it, kind of a thing.
Yeah, it's
But
just one thing
good
too.
practice, yeah.
One thing that I started doing is fasting more from social media. Like I don't doom scroll. That helps with like just I don't know, just the mental distractions. But the best thing you can do is to truly understand the nature of your mind. Is imagine your mind is a movie theater and your thoughts and emotions are playing out on the big screen. Most of the time, we're like movie critics passing judgment on every scene. But what if you could just watch the movie? No reviews, no criticism. You can learn what makes you tick, what drives your thoughts, and how your emotions pull the strings. So, a way to develop mindfulness is when you eat, focus on the flavors, the textures, the aromas. As you walk, feel the ground beneath your feet and the wind against your skin and the rhythm of your heartbeat. When engaging in conversation, listen with intent and respond with compassion and seek to understand rather than to reply, which I have the biggest, like I had the hardest time with that. I was always working up to my response rather than, you know, listening to their story, like
Zoning
thought,
out.
yeah. I wonder who invented barbed wire. Every thought, emotion, and belief is like ripples in this cosmic ocean of consciousness, capable of creating change. Everything is alive and interconnected, which is like the concept of quantum entanglement. Particles that are once intertwined remain connected regardless of distance. this is what started everything for me. I saw this video last weekend and it changed my life. And they were talking about 5 tools to shift your reality, and they work best when you do this together. But you could do the first tool is the mirror method. Stand in front of a mirror each morning and look into your eyes and speak your desired reality as if it's happening right now. So every morning I'll look in the mirror and I am a successful audio engineer. I'm the most sought after audio engineer. I get paid to edit audio for my 2-hit podcasts. We get paid speaking engagements, and I like one of them was like me and Steph travel all over the place and get paid for it. Like just all the kinds of
Hell
shit
yeah.
like that. And then there's the second tool is the 5-4-3-2-1 method. And it's a grounding tool, and it helps you to stay present while making changes. So the first one is name 5 things you can see, 4 things you can touch, 3 things you could hear, 2 things you can smell, and 1 thing you can taste. This connects you firmly to the present moment, making it easier to direct your energy. I do that sometimes before I meditate, but honestly, I meditate in my closet, so there's not a whole lot I can smell or hear in here. So I don't really do that in here. Sometimes I do it at work, even if I have looping thoughts, I'll just ground myself in the present moment or whatever. The third tool, which I love, I do this and then I read this out loud in the mirror while I look into my eyes. And so you get a notebook and write down your desired situation in complete detail. The more details, the better. Don't worry if you don't have too detailed of a one, because with my first scripting, it wasn't that detailed. And then the next day or the day after, it got more detailed. And then now it's like super detailed, and I have, it's great. So get your notebook, write your desired situation in complete detail, because the universe works in that details. Write the present tense as if it's happening now. Include all 5 senses, what you see, feel, taste, hear, and smell in this new reality, and read it every night before sleep and every morning when you wake up. And you do need to get descriptive with the adjectives for sure, because when you have emotions and feelings and sensations attached to these thoughts, it magnifies them. And so the fourth one, which is cool, I do this in meditation, but you do the energy bubble technique. Picture a clear bubble around you, fill it with your feeling of your desired reality. So for me, I always imagine myself like it's like glitter. And so like the green glitter is abundance, like financial abundance. And then the purple glitter is like abundance of good moments with my friends, and then the pink glitter is health or some shit, you know what I mean? Or like job opportunities, whatever. But it's an abundance bubble that I'm in. So I have an abundance of all of these things. And it's funny because when I picture myself in it and this glitter, I could literally feel it tingling on my body. It's cool.
That is cool.
But if you want more money, fill it with the feeling of abundance and carry it with you all day. And then 5, pattern breaking. Pick one habit to change each week. And for me, my habit was I didn't want to get up every morning and immediately check social media. I wanted to stop getting on social media at the start of my day. And I did. I haven't yet. And so it's cool. So it's like
I've been wanting to do that too, especially because your first 30 minutes that you're awake, your brain is still in like theta waves. And you're like way more programmable in the morning, which I think like I'm going to try to probably start doing my positive affirmations again in the morning. Not so much. I haven't been having like negative looping thoughts, but like whatever, it just helps. Like nothing
big time.
bad can come of it. But I was thinking like, or something like that, like where I just listen to it the first 15 minutes when I wake up before I even pick up social media or anything.
Oh yeah. Yeah, because like you could do the social media fasting, take a different route to work, eat lunch at a new time, wear different colors. Old patterns keep you stuck in old realities. Small changes add up to big shifts in reality. You might have resistance at first because your mind likes familiar patterns and might try to pull you back into old ways, but keep going. This is normal. I took some note. I watched a video before we recorded about energy manipulation, and so I took some notes on that because I thought it pertained to this. One thing though is you don't let anyone tell you these techniques are beyond your reach. This is a natural part of being human. We all came here to manipulate energy. Science and spirituality are not opposing forces, but complementary ways of understanding reality. But with quantum entanglement, like I said, two particles affect each other across time and space. Science has proven that no matter how far they stretch particles away from each other, one always affects the other. If two particles can affect each other across time and space, what does that tell you about the nature of space and time? These particles are very sensitive. Any interaction with their environment can break the connection. Maybe space and time aren't what we think. They're not as solid as we thought. Maybe everything connects in ways that we're just starting to see. The language of the subconscious isn't in words. The subconscious works with images, feelings, and symbols. That's why dreams can seem strange but meaningful, and why emotional experiences leave lasting impressions. Your subconscious responds more to feelings than logic. So think of your conscious mind as the programmer and your subconscious as the program. Your conscious will set the direction, your subconscious executes it. That's why vague wishes create weak ripples. Detailed, emotionally charged thoughts send stronger signals into the world around you. But also, you don't need to force things. Synchronicity works best when you hold your intentions clearly, but stay relaxed about how they come true. You know how we were talking about how, like, when we don't think about something, it manifests, but when we try really hard, it doesn't? But I think I cracked the code on that. When manifesting, it's like the balance between manifesting and detachment. It's like you plant the seed, you water it, and then you walk away. Like you don't go digging up the seed, making sure it's still growing. You set the intention, which means you plant the seed, and then you meditate and visualize where you water it. Affirmations in the mirror, you're feeding it. Detachment from the outcome, meaning you're not digging up the seed. You're trusting that it's going to grow because that's the nature of the seed, is to grow and to become something malleable. So it's the balancing act of care and detachment. Does that make sense?
Yeah, kind of like how Bashar says, you set the intention, but then you have to let go of how it happens and the details, basically.
Exactly. Let the universe wow you. Because
Yeah.
that's part of where I tripped up is like, okay, well, nothing's happening. What's going on? There's times now where I'm just excited. I'm so excited because it's like, I don't know how it's going to work out, but it's going to work out. And I'm so excited to see all the ways that it's going to work out. The sweet spot is clear intention with relaxed attention. Trust the timing. Sometimes what you want needs other pieces to fall into place first. So understanding these concepts help you move with the energy of life rather than against it. There's three laws to quantum manifestation. And the first is the energy follows attention. What you focus on grows stronger. When you buy a car, suddenly you see it everywhere. And that's because your brain picks up on things that are important to you. Same with everything in your life. If you concentrate on problems, you're going to find more problems. If you focus on solutions, you'll spot opportunities. And I could attest to that. When my whole world got rocked, I didn't give in to the crazy. I mean, even though I had fear and anxiety and I was literally could cry at the drop of a hat because I was so stressed out, I just knew that there's a purpose to this and I need to find the solution and I need to find like there's a way out, and instead of, oh my gosh, life is so hard, fuck this shit, blah, blah, blah. Because in that native life, that's how I was. I didn't care anymore. I gave up on shit and that didn't help me. I didn't learn anything. I didn't reach my potential. I was killed in that life and I was warned intuitively not to go where I was going and I didn't listen. And even in the situation, I didn't listen because I was completely disconnected from myself. I let the bad shit rock me so much that I couldn't navigate out of it and I just let it become me. And the second one is energy matches frequency. So, like a radio station, you need to tune into the right frequency to hear what you want. So, if you want more money but feel poor, you're broadcasting on the wrong channel because your outer reality mirrors what your inner state is. So, that's why forcing things rarely works. You need to shift your inner frequency first, and then the outer frequency will follow. The third law is energy needs direction. Raw power without aim just creates chaos. Your thoughts and feelings must point to clear goals. So picture throwing a ball. You need the right force and the right direction to hit your target. Many people have strong desires, but scatter their energy in too many directions. That's how I was when I first, was needing a job. I just put my fucking resume everywhere. And I put it like 45 fucking resumes out there, and every one of them were like, not every one of them, but they're trickling in saying no, 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 because I'm not qualified for half of this shit. The first law shows us where to put our attention. The second law explains how to match our energy to what we want. And the third law guides us to focus that energy properly. So think of it like baking bread. You need flour, water, and yeast. If you miss any of the ingredients, you won't have bread. So the same goes for manifesting. You need to focus, match your energy, and a clear direction. So a good way is to pick one thing you want to create and give it your full attention. So right now, my full attention is getting an audio job. So I asked myself, how would someone who already has this job, how would they think and feel and match that energy? So I've literally this whole week, I'm like, okay, what would I do when I wake up in the morning, what would I do if I got paid to do what I'm doing or to do the things that I want to be doing? And so I still have my normal routine, but I literally just edit audio, and when I'm done with the podcast audio, I'll edit the past life audio. And then when I'm done with that, then I'll put out resumes. Sometimes it's in a different order. Sometimes I'll start with the resumes and then I'll do the audio editing. But you know what I mean? I
Hmm.
base my day around like I'm already getting paid to do this. This is my job and this is what I do. After I, live like I'm already doing this, then you make plans on how to get there, which is putting out the resumes. But also, I find myself researching and trying to learn and grow. I have a completely different attitude about this podcast now. I've always taken it seriously, but now it's like this is my job, researching all this stuff for the podcast to teach the listeners and blah, blah, blah. Like that's my job. The thing about these laws is they work whether you believe in them or not. The key is to use them on purpose. Once you understand these laws, you can't unknow them. Another way too to think about it, like I was saying earlier with the seeds and everything, is your mind really is like a garden and it's up to you what seeds you plant, whether it be hope, optimism, and love, or doubt and worry. And that does creep in, there's times I'm like, and I've sometimes will ask ChatGPT, how do I get rid of the doubt and the worry? Or how do I because that kind of stuff will diminish your manifestations. And so you can't live in that energy. So you have to switch the energy. Sometimes I'll send it down the river. Other times I'll explore why I'm feeling this way. And I'll consciously tell myself I'm rewiring new neural pathways. That's the old way of thinking. I don't think that way anymore. Or, just something to that effect. Like I found myself doing that when I went out to the deep freeze to get, meat for dinner. I was like, oh shit, that's an old thought and an old belief. We don't think those anymore. And I sent it down the river. Becoming aware of this means you can gain control over what you cultivate in your garden. The strength of a thought is influenced by emotions, and emotions act as a magnifying glass, amplifying the power beyond the thought. Positive emotions will boost your focus and reinforce the energy that you want to project, whereas negative emotions can give a similar and unwanted effect. So it can be just as powerful in destroying your manifestations. But
Oh
it's
yeah,
okay.
I see it happen all the time.
Yeah. I
People
mean,
that just sit there and complain, and you literally see how they're bringing more chaos in their life, and you can see them start complaining, and then just more things start going crazy.
I've met people I've seen less drama on TV kind of thing. How can one person go through so much? And I don't mean that, and I mean like in a self-imposed way.
Right, yeah.
Yeah. It's like you just and it's painfully obvious. You just have to shift your mindset. But I don't know. Some people, they cling on to that victimhood. They just live for it.
Yeah.
So retraining your brain does take time. In future episodes, the law of rhythm, which I'll teach, it means that there will always be fluctuations in the energy. The key isn't to eliminate doubts entirely, which is impossible, but to change your response to it so that it no longer holds power over your manifestations. You have to recognize doubts as old programming. When doubts creep in, don't resist them. Just observe them without attaching to them. Instead of saying, why am I doubting this? Shift into, oh, that's just old conditioning. It's fading. And then you need to reframe these doubts as part of the process. Your subconscious is shedding its old scarcity mindset. So think of doubt as evidence that your brain is rewiring. Instead of, what if this doesn't work out? Shift it to, I'm learning to trust, and every day I will get stronger. And also, the moment you notice doubts creeping in, physically do something different. Clap your hands, stand up, shake your body, say out loud, cancel, I choose abundance. Immediately shift into affirmations or visualization. Break the thought pattern because your thoughts have energy attached to them. So if you break that energy, it helps. Strengthen the feeling of having it already. So every morning and at night, embody the version of you who already has what you want. So ask, how does my successful self feel? How does she move? How does she think? Walk around your space as if you already have it and let your body feel it. Which is kind of funny lately. Because that's why I think why I'm so excited. I could feel like I'm on the horizon of something. Like it's literally, this morning, I was so fucking happy and excited. I just enjoy being in my home and doing my thing with my girls. I was just having a great time. We weren't even doing anything in particular. I just had this overwhelming feeling of joy and happiness around just my life, and I went with it, and soaked it in. And that would have been a good time to push some manifestations out or affirmations out into the universe. But I just soaked in that feeling of joy, that came out of nowhere. Also need to balance manifestation with action. The doubts might creep in because your mind is looking for tangible proof. So you ask yourself, what small step can I take to align with this goal? I just wanted to close with a quote from the Kabbalion. He who grasps the truth of the mental nature of the universe is well advanced on the path to mastery. And these words are as true today as the time they were written. Without this master key, mastery is impossible, and the student knocks in vain at the many doors of the temple. Hope you enjoyed my first class teaching the law of mentalism. Next week, I will go over the law of correspondence, which is as above, so below, as within, so without. The microcosm and the macrocosm reflect each other in its infinite patterns. The universe is a mirror. What you see on the outside also exists within. So we'll be exploring that deeper next episode.
I never did ask you, how did your full moon ceremony with Sonia go?
Okay, so the ritual, it was cool. It wasn't what I thought it was going to be like this cool magical thing, but it really, we sat down and I asked her to, like, we lit candles and I explained to her what they meant. For our listeners, I decided last full moon ceremony to bring my daughter in on it because she was saying things that was kind of reminiscent of a life that her and I had together where we were separated, and it completely broke both of our heart. Like, it broke us. And she's got this crazy attachment to me. I can't do or go anywhere without her either freaking out or, wanting to wear my skin. She was having a hard time with school, and because she normally just loves school, I can't keep her out of school. And she was afraid that somebody was going to take her far, far away. And I'm like, so I started to talk to her about it and kind of in simple terms, but I'm like, so I kind of was telling her, sometimes there's things that happen, in the past that leaves a mark on you, and it doesn't necessarily mean that it's going to happen again. And I reassured her, like, we're fine, everything's good. But I told her, this would be something really cool to release during the full moon. If you want to be part of my full moon ceremony, you can. And her face lit up and she was like, yeah, I want to do that. And so I asked ChatGPT, how do I do this? Like, she's almost 6, but like, she's 6 years old. How do I talk to a 6-year-old about past life stuff without it going over her head? And ChatGPT told me to frame it like every life is a story. And there was a story in the past that we had, sad things happened, kept it really basic and simple, you know. And I told her, so what we're gonna burn these candles and it's gonna symbolize love, and this one symbolizes protection, and this one symbolizes, you know, whatever. And I asked her to draw her hurts and her pain and, you know, whatever on this paper. And then we'll go outside and we'll burn it and release it into the universe. And they'll take your pain from you. And it was cool because I saw her face, like she's kind of like the wheels are turning, you know. I was trying to do my writing, you know, while she was drawing, and she just does this basic picture. And I was like, okay. And I was like, okay, so is this all you wanted to do? And how do you feel about it? She says, it's good. I feel good about it. I was like, okay, cool. And so I'm like, let me, you know, trying to finish up my writing. And so I was like, okay, let's go outside and we'll burn it. And I let her, I let her hold the paper at first. And then when it got down, I grabbed the paper, you know, and I burned it. And she says, so what happens next? I was like, oh, the wind will take the ashes. Your hurts are going up and I forget what I said, but it was really eloquent. I was proud of myself, actually. So it was cool. And so then we came inside and she wanted to do a full moon bath. And so I drew a bath for her, put candles in there, and like there's a neon light she likes. And so I put that in there and just made it really pretty and relaxing and whatnot. And we talked about, you know, I can't remember what we talked about, but yeah. Or no, we'd watched Cinderella. And
That's cool.
then, yeah, but she, afterward, the next day, she had a hard time at school and cried. So I was like, all right. And so, oh yeah, in the ceremony, there's this headband. It was this Valentine's Day headband that I saw at Michael's. It has all these jewels and hearts and shit on it, you know, and took this headband because they suggested to have a blanket and wrap the blanket around her and like it a bit symbolizing, you know, big warm hug and she's safe and protected and blah blah blah. But I was like, I'm gonna do the headband instead, and I told her we'll infuse this headband with the energy of protection and love, and every time you miss mommy really bad at school, you could just touch the hearts, and you could feel my love and you know whatever. And so she has this magic headband, you know, and she got in the car after school. And she's like, Mom, it didn't work. And I was like,
Aw.
and so the next day and then slowly I started to kind of lightly tell her about the law of mentalism. You know, I was like, honey, I was like, if you tell yourself that you're going to have a bad day, then you're going to have a bad day. I was like, how you think and feel about the world around you is how you're going to experience the world around you. I was like, so if you want a better day and to have fun, then tell yourself, I'm going to have fun today. I'm going to have a good day today. And she did this morning. And when she got in the car, she was like, Mom, I had a good day today. I was like, see? And so, yeah, I mean, it started off a little clunky. She's starting to do better. Like one time she said the most Pisces shit when she got in the car the other day. She's like, Mom, I didn't cry at all today. I cracked up. I was like, oh, you're a Pisces. The ceremony was good. Honestly, the ceremony served the purpose that I wanted it to serve, meaning I wanted to show her that there's things you could do to alleviate things like heavy stuff. When you have heavy stuff weighing on you, there's ways to get it out of you. And so, yeah, it wasn't this deep, big, crazy ritual because she's a kid, you know, she doesn't understand
Yeah.
that shit. Yeah. And
No, I think
ChatGPT,
it's really powerful. Like just going through the motions of it, you know.
hmm
Imagine if you were 6 years old and were taught that you could let things go, you know.
Yeah, when I was 6 years old, I was taught you can't let any emotions out.
Right.
Nothing.
Yeah. Shut up. Quit crying. Be
hmm
quiet. Quit being annoying.
Here,
That's what
take
I
this
got.
pill. Yeah, it definitely served the purpose that I wanted it to serve. And so, because she's even asking me, what are we going to do for the next full moon ritual? So I was like, I don't know. What should we do? It's cool because it completely opened the door for some stuff. And so I'm glad that she's she thinks that. And I even told her too. I was like, don't talk about this with your friends and don't talk about this with your teachers. Like this kind of stuff, not everybody does, and they might not understand it. And so it's better if we just, this is just a mommy thing. But I was like, but there are, like, you could talk about it with Max and, Max's girlfriend. And I told her I was like, you could talk about it with certain people, but not, I was like, not your grandmas or grandpa.
That would be so funny.
I know. I think her dad would be okay with it, but yeah, I don't think the grandmas. I mean, my mom thinks sound healing is of the devil, so it's like, Jesus, lady. If she only knew I was doing rituals with her granddaughter. But you do rituals too at church every Sunday. You just don't want to admit it.
Yeah, exactly.
Like you do full on cannibalism and blood rituals. Like that's so wild to me. Sound healing is evil, but it's okay to eat and drink from the body of Christ.
Mm-hmm.
We also wanted to let you guys know that if you have any questions about what we talk about, if there's anything that you want to know about the universe, email us at thedeependpodcast2024@gmail.com.
Yeah, totally. We'll do our best to answer your questions and it'll be fun. Well, that's all the time we have for today. Thanks for tuning in, listening to our podcast, and following us into the depths of the subconscious and the unknown.
Into the depths of your soul.
Come find me and book a reading on www.mutablemystic.com. Find me on Facebook at Mutable Mystic. You can find me on Instagram at mutable_mystic. Also, if you'd like to check out any of my music, you can find me on SoundCloud /stay, STE_music.
And you can find me on TikTok, YouTube, Instagram, and Facebook under Quantum Healing with Steph Green, and book your own past life regression session, or you can send me a message on Facebook and we could talk about what you have in mind. And don't forget to like, follow, and share the Deep End Podcast on Facebook, TikTok, YouTube, and Instagram. Thanks for tuning in today.
Well, we can bend your mind next time. Always remember to ground your feet in the dirt and enjoy life with those gratitude glasses on. Pass this on.
The Deep End.
The Deep End. Welcome to the Deep End.
The Deep End.
The deep end, bro.
Yeah, brah, deep end.
Deep, man.
Deep end.
The Deep End.